Because I'm watching way too many people flipping out about Trump's latest meltdown on Truth Social, I would like to remind everybody of 3 facts. First of all, if you haven't seen it yet, here is the post that is causing so much concern. The post that is definitely a distraction from the Epstein files, definitely meant to draw your attention away from the fact that Mr. Art of the Deal has completely failed to get a deal with Vladimir Putin, and that the talks with Zelensky are not going to go well. So in his typical rambling, dysregulated, impulsive fashion, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. Now, as you listen to this, please understand these are the words of a desperate man. To say he is panicking would be a massive understatement. So early this morning, Trump barfed up this nonsense on his failing social media platform. So let's just go through this, and I'll pause to fact check along the way. I am going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots, and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. First off, voting machines don't cost 10 times as much. They are not less accurate. Let's not forget that Fox News had to pay $787.5 million to Dominion voting machines, supporting Trump's conspiracy theory nonsense that voting machines rigged the 2020 election. Oh, and what news do we have from this morning? Look here, Newsmax has to pay out $67 million in order to settle a lawsuit that accused Newsmax of defaming what? Voting machine companies. This is after Newsmax had already paid $40 million in 2023. But getting back to Trump's rant, we are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. Others gave it up because of the massive fraud encountered. Dozens of other countries use mail-in voting, including our neighbor to the north, Canada, including Germany, the United Kingdom, Australia. Oh, Switzerland as well. I could go on. According to The Hill, nearly 1/3 of all votes cast in the 2024 election were mail-in. Trump himself admitted to Fox News in an interview that he votes by mail. I live in Oregon, where we have vote by mail. It's really effective, really convenient, and helps us have a high voter turnout. It makes it easier for folks to exercise their right to vote. Why would you want to stop that? Why would you want to make it harder for Americans to vote? Speaking of, Trump says he will begin an effort that will be opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never seen before. Surprisingly, CNN fact-checked this morning, saying Trump's claim about Democrats is nonsense. There is simply no basis for the assertion of massive cheating. Okay, go CNN, more of this. Thanks for finally not uncritically accepting something Trump said is truth. So this is the part that everybody is freaking out about this morning. Trump says that he will be signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. Well, he already did this. He already lost at this. I know he's trying again, but that's because he is freaking the fuck out. He knows that the Republicans cannot win unless they cheat. He knows that what he's doing is deeply unpopular. What the fascist GOP has done is deeply unpopular. And if the people are allowed to express their choice at the ballot box, Republicans are fucked in the midterms. That's why they're desperate to gerrymander in Texas. And Trump is freaking out because Gavin Newsom was like, okay, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. He is set to try and fight fire with fire in California. We're seeing Governor Pritzker and Governor Hochul in Illinois and New York also be like, okay, you want to gerrymander Texas all to hell? Cool, we'll do it too. So Trump's ploy is not working the way he thought. So he's reverting back to something he tried earlier in the year when he signed an executive order trying to restrict mail-in voting and election machines as well. And it didn't work, y'all. The federal courts already stopped it. So I keep seeing folks this morning saying Trump is going to try and sign an executive order to take away vote by mail and take away voting machines. Yeah, sure, he's going to try because he can't win unless he cheats. Of course, this is what dictators do. They don't typically stop elections. They just try to cheat in them to suppress the vote because they are fragile. They do not have the will of the people. And if folks are allowed to vote, they will lose. So they try to disenfranchise voters any way they can. This is why I said months ago, yeah, Trump is going to try shit. We are going to demand that we have free and fair midterms. We are not going to entertain any idea that we will not have midterm elections, that vote by mail will go away, that voting machines will go away. We are not entertaining that shit. We will demand our rights. We're not ceding the line when it comes to elections to the fascists. But let's get back to Trump's post. So in this temper tantrum, Trump says, remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating votes. I guarantee somebody wrote that line for him. Someone from Project 2025 wrote that line for him. That's simply not true. MSNBC this morning called that line, quote, legal absurdity. And the Washington Post said the U.S. Constitution designates the power to regulate the time, place, and manner of elections to the states, with the proviso that Congress can step in and override those laws. It gives no specific power to the president to do so. Election experts said that Trump was claiming power he does not have, and that lawsuits over the measure were all but guaranteed. Y'all, even Washington Post is like, no, nice try, Grandpa. So the rest of this post continues in a bunch of all caps nonsense, where he again calls anybody who's not a MAGA the radical left. He tries to whip up his base by throwing in issues about transgender athletes, woke ideology, blah, 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 blah. It's the typical same old, same old. This part at the end here, do you remember how I said every time Donald Trump uses the word hoax, it's a tell? He's now calling, just like he called the Epstein files a hoax, he's now calling mail-in ballots a hoax. Remember when he was found liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, and he said that was a hoax? Again, here, every accusation is a confession. He loves to play Darvo. Everything right now is a big fat cope for him. He is claiming he needs to do all of this because otherwise the elections will not be fair and honest. He then ends it with this bizarre, like, thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. So let me just take your blood pressure down here a little bit and remind you of three truths. He already tried this in March, and the federal courts already stopped him. That's number one. Number two, it should be clear as day that he is panicking. That post is a panic. That post is a freak out from him. It reeks of desperation. Just like the Texas gerrymandering, desperate ploys from a man who knows he is losing his grip on power, from a man who knows he is doing things that are making him deeply unpopular. The more policies he rolls out, the more he cracks down, the more he tries to take away our rights, the more the people are pissed off. Republicans and Donald Trump are underwater across the board. They are going to lose in the midterms unless they cheat. So of course he's going to try and cheat, y'all. Again, this is the typical autocratic playbook. Autocrats do not have the will of the people. They can only hold on to power by threats, intimidation, and cheating. So of course he's going to try that because otherwise he will lose because he's a big fat loser. The more he is trying to suppress the right to vote, the more he is trying to cheat in the midterms, the more panicked he is. All of this rapid escalation, all of these crash outposts like this, where he's saying he's going to try and do something that he already was smacked down on. He doesn't have any plays left in his playbook, y'all. He doesn't have anything else. Threats, intimidation, cheating. That's all he's got. So he's reverting to something that he already tried in March and already failed at because he has nothing else. And the third thing I want to remind you of is that the states control elections. I want to read a quote here from David Becker, who is the executive director for the Center for Election Innovation and Research, which is a nonpartisan nonprofit which protects election integrity. The president and his advisors should direct their attention to Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution, which he has sworn to preserve, protect, and defend. That clause states unambiguously that the regulation of elections is the power of the states. And only Congress can change that. The president plays literally no role in elections, and that's by design of the founders. He's going to try shit because he's desperate. Of course he's going to try and cheat, otherwise he can't hold on to power. So don't be surprised that he's trying this stuff. This is who he is, y'all. It doesn't mean he's going to be successful. Just because he barfs up something on Truth Social because he's having an absolute meltdown, y'all need to stop taking it as gospel truth. Please, y'all, stop believing the words of a known liar. He's not going to succeed at this because we, the American people, will not allow it. Please remember, ultimately, the power lies with us. We will be having midterms. Yep, Republicans in conservative red states are trying to cheat right now. They're trying to gerrymander. They're going to try and disenfranchise voters any way they can because they cannot hold on to power without cheating. But we're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to have a massive get out the vote movement. We will have midterm elections, and Donald Trump will continue to spiral about that fact because he knows it is a direct threat. He knows democracy is a direct threat to him.